As we celebrate Black History Month 2002, I'm reminded of something that one of our guests said earlier. He said that we should always remember that there's something greater than ourselves. He said that we should always maintain a belief in God. And as he said that, I remembered something that Jesus mentioned in the Gnostic Gospels. And I quote, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." It is my pleasure to present our guest today. It is our hope that they will inspire you to bring forth the best that is within you. It is our hope that you will be inspired to become doctors and lawyers and teachers, that you will fulfill all of your dreams and the dreams of our ancestors and our people. Our guests are Mr. Sam Pensio, as well as Mr. Vaughn Harper, both former athletes here at Wadley graduates, and men of substance, men of vision, men that I take great pleasure in introducing this afternoon. Thank you.
How often do you hear him speak?
Not
How often do you hear him speak?
that. When we go to the library.
Yeah, I mean, man. Oh, poetry. Oh, you didn't say that, huh? No, give him a round of applause. I mean, and I'm supposed to speak after him. I don't
Go
know
ahead, Vaughn. You can do it.
You know what I
You
mean?
can do it.
Oh, man. My name is Vaughn Harper. I'm from Harlem. All right. And I went to James Fenimore Cooper before I came to Wadley. Right? But I graduated from Wadley. And as Sam did, I went to Boys High in Brooklyn, and then I went to Syracuse University, as did Sam. I was an All-American basketball player in high school, and in college, well, it was, I don't know what, let's see, what did I do? Anyway,
You got through 4 years.
Yeah,
You got through 4 years at
yeah,
university.
Okay. 4 years, and I graduated from Syracuse University, and I used to do a show here. It's called The Quiet Storm now.
Oh, I hear that nice. Every night. Every night. I'm saying.
Hold it. When I started the show was in 1980 when I started. Up until 97 was the last year that I did it. All right. The guy's name's called Raymond Anthony now does the show. All right. He took over when I left. All right. I went. I guess I retired. You know, and right now I do a show from 10 to 2 on Sundays from Jam 105. You know, so, but that's enough. That's enough. You know, but like I said, I went to Wadley, and it was now when I went to Wadley, or when we went to Wadley. Mr. Plummer was here.
Okay.
This gentleman here, okay? You know, that's why he's sitting in front. That's, you know. During that time, him and Renee Lavenier he taught Spanish at that point, at that time. And they were who we wanted to be like. I mean, because this gentleman and Renee Lavenier, the dress was
exquisite.
Oh, God. All right. And, oh, man, they were who you wanted to be like, you know. So, but just wanted to say something about him. I turn it over to Sam Pensil. He'll tell you all that education stuff. You know what I mean? Go ahead, man.
Now, don't take that lightly just because he made a joke about it. You know, because education is tremendously important. As Vaughn said, we went through junior high, high school, and college together, starting here, playing basketball together, and we were able to get a scholarship to college, which in those days and at Syracuse University, it was very tough to get a scholarship. Syracuse had a reputation for being a fairly strict school that was not that you could get into, but it was difficult to get out once you got there. And the other thing that I want to highlight for you in terms of our achievement is that we graduated from Syracuse in 4 years while playing basketball.
You were 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
But while playing basketball, and these days that is a rarity, almost. The graduation rate for athletes, particularly black athletes, is just about horrendous in terms of the number of guys who go to college and who graduate within, I think they use a window of within 6 or 7 years. And most schools have a graduation rate that's down below 50%, which is kind of sad. So I wanted to highlight that in terms of that accomplishment. Our careers diverged after we left college. I became a teacher. I have completed 3 master's degree programs. I completed a master's degree program in radio and television, which prepared me to do the kinds of things that you see the youngsters doing here, as well as filmmaking and being on-air talent. I have a master's in reading and one in supervision and administration, which prepared me to be a school administrator. I taught on the college level for a while after teaching in alternative programs here in the city. And when I was about 42 years old, I began teaching in the Board of Education, where I became a principal. And I ran a school in Brooklyn, a middle school. And then 3 years ago, I left to become a regional superintendent in the school system in Cleveland, Ohio, which I did until last June. And I'm now working as an art consultant until I make some decisions about which way I want to go in the field of education again. I will mention those things to you because I want you to realize that if I can do it, you can do it. I was talking to the youngsters before we got started, asking about the honors program, and a number of you have indicated that you're in a number of honors classes, which is really good. I was fortunate enough to make one honors class in high school, but I got better as I went on in terms of my academic performance. And there were times when I did not think that I could make it. There were people who told me I couldn't make it. I had a teacher in high school who told me, don't think about going to college because you can't make anything of yourself. You might as well learn to do something with your hands and get yourself a job. But he didn't realize that my father had told me that I could do just about anything that I wanted to as long as I was willing to work for it. And then he didn't realize that I came from a tremendous legacy of having gone to a school like Wadley, where we had teachers such as Mr. Plummer and Mr. Lavignon and Miss Williams, who's now known as Dr. Monroe, and a whole host of other teachers who saw to it that we did the best that we could, and who instilled in us that pride and that sense of commitment and that sense of dedication to making sure that we worked hard. And so I wanted to offer those things to you to let you know that you come from a tremendous legacy. You have a tremendous support system for you. I know that there are some times you may think that some of your teachers don't care, but you have a lot of people who care about you. And even though you may not see those people every day, and you may not even know them by name, but there are a lot of people who have preceded you who constitute your support system and who will come to your assistance as you move on. These things might not make much sense to you right now, but I'm pretty certain that as you travel on and there's a need for help, you're going to, these people will come to your assistance in terms of helping you get scholarships and helping you do whatever is necessary to get through life. So I want you to keep that in mind, and I want to urge you to make sure that you commit yourself to doing the best that you can and becoming the best person that you can become. So at this point, I think we're ready to answer some questions. Who has the first question? All right, come on.
My name is Naomi White. Mic down. I can't see. I'd like to know, do you think that students, do we have the same commitment as y'all did when y'all was in school?
Yes. You know, what's been my experience is that children are pretty much the same no matter where you go, no matter what the era is in which you grow up. We tried to do everything that we could get away with. We thought that our parents didn't know what they were talking about. We thought that they were old fuddy-duddies, you know what I mean? And we thought that we were slick. And does that sound familiar? Yeah. and then as we went down the road, you know, we kind of realized that, hey, you know, our parents and those adults, they knew what they were talking about. Yeah. And they told us the right thing. And I'm pretty certain that you're going to find that too. Do
y'all think y'all was prepared for what y'all?
No.
No. You don't think you prepared?
No.
Prepared for?
For the bigger world.
Oh yeah,
for the
bigger world. Oh, yeah. Of course, yes. Yeah. And I want you to know that we were able to get to the point where we are now because we got the good foundation right in this building. You know, when it was a junior high school, and back in those days, and we got what we needed to build on. You know, we got that solid foundation, and no matter what you do, you got to have good basics, you know, just like you got to learn the ABCs before you learn how to read and write, right? So no matter what you do, if you become a cook, you've got to learn some basic things, how to put things together, how to measure, and you know, all of that. And then once you get that down, then you can go from there. And that's exactly what we got here. So you've got good preparation on your part.
Thank you.
Okay. As long as you keep him involved in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your question? You don't have a question?
Sam likes you.
Do you feel that the music and media has a lot of effect on how we act in life today?
Yes.
Like, how do you feel like it's changed? Like, was a big change from?
Well, let's see. When I was in this school, most of the groups used to sing. The Moon Glows and these
the Drifters.
The Moon Glows and who else? Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers.
Okay.
Platters, yeah. They were popular, during that time.
James Brown?
Yeah. No, James Brown wasn't popular at that point. He came after that, but man, they basically said what we needed to hear, all right, as opposed to what you got now. You got rap now. It's basically what. Pardon me? Hip hop, rap, whatever it is. All right. Okay. I can't. Good man. Well, say it, Jay. Okay.
You said jazz?
Yeah, no, the boy over here.
You said
yeah,
jazz?
yeah,
All
the
right.
boy with the ponytail and this stuff.
All right, that's cool. That's good.
Stuff in his head, whatever it is. But you know, in terms of your question, yes.
And the other major difference was that the lyrics, the words that we listened to the tunes that we listened to, were in essence a lot more positive than a lot of what you hear today. I'm not saying that everything that you hear today is negative, but as you know, there's a lot of negative. We didn't hear anything that degraded women. We grew up loving and respecting women, and if we didn't, we got knocked down. You know, like if you really wanted to get a busting in my house, disrespect your mother. But we don't, things have changed since then. And as young ladies, it's real important that you don't accept that. Don't allow the young men to disrespect you in any manner. It's not fair, but I've always felt that the females have a bigger burden in terms of moving our culture along. Because you have so much more influence on the children, because you spend so much more time with the children than the men do. And so you help to mold both the boys and the girls. So make sure that you insist that from the cradle that everybody respects you. And you make sure that the guy on the street who does not say the right thing respects you. And I mean, that doesn't mean that you have to curse him out. But you can tell them in a nice way what you will accept and what you don't accept. And believe me, it makes a tremendous difference. I remember that we used to, I'm going to just tell you a little bit about Vaughn. Vaughn used to be one of the wildest dudes in the neighborhood. And we had lots of wild friends, and he was among the wildest. But when it came to being around the girls, he straightened up his behavior, as did all of us. So that's just an example of the kind of influence that the ladies can have. So make sure that you don't accept anything less than what's appropriate for you, because remember, what you'll accept is what you'll get. Okay. Any other questions?
Do you feel that your parents played a crucial role in your accomplishments and
Without a doubt. I remember Vaughn's mother used to say, she used to worry so much. She used to say, Sam, what am I going to do with that boy? And I used to say, Miss Harper, Vaughn's going to be all right. And I knew that he was going to be all right because I knew that Vaughn's mother was teaching him the right things, as our parents were teaching us the right things. And it is those things that we fall back on now. When we have moments of doubt, when there is the temptation to say something that we not be proud of, For instance, my mom is still living. My mother is 93 years old, and whenever I have an inclination to mistreat somebody or to call somebody a name, I think, if my mom knew about that, I'm going to hear about it. So I straighten myself up, and then our parents taught us some basic manners that are still with me, like holding the door for people when you come past, taking off my hat when I go in the building, saying yes and thank you and please and that sort of thing. And you may not realize it as you walk along in life, but those are the things that make an impression. And you never can tell who is looking at you and what kind of impression that they're getting. But when you move along and you have an opportunity to have people talk to you about the things that they consider important, it's these basic things that make a tremendous difference. And I tell people a lot that I'm so glad that we grew up when we grew up, and our parents instilled in us the things that they instilled in us, because otherwise we'd be on the street someplace now.
Thank you.
Was there ever a time where you felt that you couldn't succeed, that the work was just like too hard for you,
Yes.
and you just wanted to give up?
The whole time at Syracuse University. You know, my degree is in fine arts, you know, as opposed to Sam, and all of the courses I had to take. Well, before, let me go back further. All right, I'll go back to when I was a freshman. Oh God, I during that time I was an art major, illustration. All right, and I had to take courses. I can't think of right now what they were, but I had to take a lot of courses. I had a session where I'd have to go at 9 o'clock in the morning and didn't get out till 3 in the afternoon, or 4 o'clock in the afternoon when we were supposed to be practicing. You know, so but the whole thing during that particular time, I did that for a year, and then I switched to fine arts in the liberal arts department. And then that's where my degree is, you know. So, but all of it, because I went to Boys High, and at that time, studying was I didn't have it. I didn't study, you know, and it was all college stuff that I had to learn. You know, I didn't know what to do about that, you know. But you know, it became all right. But to answer your question. Yes, it was hard.
The other thing that made it difficult for us was that when we were in college, though we had a scholarship, we had to work as well. We had being in college was like having 2 or 3 jobs, because we had to go to class from like 8 in the morning, 8, 9 in the morning to 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Then we had to go to practice every day. We had practice for 2.5 hours. Our practice facility was in a gym that was 1.5 miles or 2 miles down the road. After leaving practice, we had to get back to the dining hall to eat within a half hour or so. And if we didn't get a ride, then we had to run back to get dinner. And then we had to study. But in addition to that, we had to have a job that we worked at that helped to pay for our scholarship. Fortunately, we didn't have to have a job that was real difficult, but we had to go there and put in the time. The athletes these days don't necessarily have to do that, and so it was difficult. And Syracuse, the professors didn't really care whether you were an athlete or not. You were required to do what everybody else was required to do. You had to do those papers. They had to be in on time. If they weren't, then you paid the price. So we had to make sure that we were eligible, because if you weren't eligible, you couldn't play. If you can't play, you lose your scholarship. And so there were times when it was very, 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 very difficult. We said, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. But as time went on, it got a little bit better. And I never did receive an A in a course until my senior year, when I needed A's to graduate. And I think I got like 3 A's out of 6 courses or something like that. And then I looked back at myself and said, oh, wow, I could have been doing this all along, you know. But that stood me in good stead for when I went to graduate school, because in graduate school, you don't get anything, you can't get anything less than a B. And I got A's in most of my courses in graduate school, so I got better as I went along.
So what was it that kept y'all motivated during the course's time?
To graduate, to be able to continue to play, because there was always that dream of getting into the pros, you know, to be able to make some money, but and to be able to have something to fall back on. You know, there were people like Mr. Plummer and our parents and others who said, you got to make sure you have a college education so you have something to fall back on. And so once going through all of that, you know, you want to make sure you graduate. And we were really unique in our freshman class. There were 7 of us who went in, and 7 of us graduated within the 4 years, which was really tremendous. And we got a good education. And so you can get a good education, in most schools, as long as you take the right courses and don't take what we used to call them gut courses. There are some courses that are real easy that don't require much, and if you got another thing for you to remember, if you don't have to put out much, you're not going to get back much, So if you don't have to work real hard, you're not going to benefit from it. Now, there are going to be some courses that'll be easier than others, but if you take, these courses where you don't have to study and you don't have to do much, you can about bet that along the road, that course is not going to serve you that well. And those courses where you have to struggle, where you have to put out some effort, those are the ones that you gain the most from.
Thank you.
I wanted to know that, it's like a different society that we all live in. It's a new generation, and y'all grew up from a different era, a stronger background. Teachers that portrayed as parents to y'all, to us, is different. Not many teachers, they have a job, and some of them care, and then it's other things. And you have kids that come here that just come around and run around the hallways and play around or whatever. I wanted to know how do you feel. I wanted to know how do you feel about the generation of today and what we could bring to the future.
That's a heck of a question. It really is.
Well, let me tell you, you have a lot to offer for the future, and let me also tell you this: that our future depends on you. Okay, and you, and you, and you, and all of you. And let me also tell you that life is not fair. Remember that, because you're going to go through some things. You're going to say this is not fair. It's not fair. It ain't. But as long as you make up your mind that you are going to do the best that you can and that you're going to make a contribution, I think that's what's most important, that you make a commitment to doing something to give something back. Because as I said to you, you've got a tremendous support system, and there is a lot of work that has to be done. Unfortunately, we as adults are handing you a world that is much less ideal than it ought to be, and it's going to be a lot more messed up than we ought to really have it for you. And there's going to be a lot of work that you have to do, but you're going to be able to do it as long as you decide that you want to have what's best, and you want to have a world that's a world in which you can live, and that's a good place. But you can do it, and you start by getting that solid education.
I would. That's what I said.
And the achievements that y'all have made for today, did you expect that you would be where you are today when you were coming up?
No.
No?
No.
I expected to be up there, but I didn't expect to be doing this. I thought I was going to be rich and, retired when I was about 35 or 40. It didn't work like that. But I've been successful, and I have a lot to be proud of, and so I have no complaints whatsoever.
I have no complaints either. Yeah.
We've both been blessed.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
And that's what's key.
All right.
Unfortunately, the hour is upon us. I'd like to thank these brothers with something from the Bible. It says, "Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." We thank them for bringing as much truth as they had to offer. And it is our sincere hope that those of you who listened embrace that truth. We'd like to thank Mr. Plummer, of course, Ms. Collins, Mr. Harper, Mr. Penseal. On a personal note, you're my heroes, because it just gives me joy to see, and I'm humbled by it, I mean this sincerely. It gives me joy to see brothers who take the time to come back and speak to our future. Because as you said earlier, if they don't make it, we have no future. So on behalf, again, of the entire Wadley community, Ms. Collins, and the brothers and sisters that are here, we thank you sincerely. We thank you, Mr. Plummer. Thank you for coming. Okay.